A detective steps into a silent house. The air is thick with dust, and the beam of his flashlight cuts through it like a blade. The place smells of old wood and something else, something rotten. He follows the sound, a dripping faucet somewhere deeper inside. The house feels alive, like it's holding its breath. At the end of the hallway, he finds what everyone in the town of Ashbury, Pennsylvania had been looking for. The body of Daniel Whitmore, missing for 13 days. And the truth, buried even longer. Daniel Whitmore was 46 years old. A local contractor, husband, and father of 2. In a town of fewer than 10,000, he was known as the man who could build anything. Neighbors said he was calm, polite, generous. He'd fix your porch and never take payment. But on October 3, 2017, Daniel didn't show up for work. By that evening, his wife, Laura Whitmore, reported him missing. Police initially suspected a work accident. His truck was found near an old farmhouse he'd been restoring, keys in the ignition. Phone left behind, no Daniel. The town rallied. Dozens of volunteers searched the nearby woods and riverbanks. Detectives noticed something strange about the farmhouse. A locked back room, sealed from the inside. When they'd forced it open, they found tools scattered, footprints in the dust, and a fresh patch of floorboards that didn't match the rest. But underneath, nothing. No blood. No evidence. Just empty dirt. It was as if Daniel had vanished into thin air. Days later, a tip came from Daniel's neighbor, Mark Hastings, a man Daniel had argued with over property boundaries. Mark claimed he'd seen a dark SUV parked outside Daniel's home the night before his disappearance. Surveillance cameras confirmed it, but the plates were missing. Police traced tire tracks from Daniel's property to an abandoned house on Mill Creek Road, a place locals called the Hollow. The house had been empty for years. Inside, they found Daniel's watch and a blood-stained hammer. The hammer belonged to Eli Turner, Daniel's former business partner. 2 years earlier, Daniel had accused Eli of embezzling over $50,000 from their construction company. Eli denied it, but Daniel dissolved the partnership, leaving Eli bankrupt and furious. When detectives brought him in for questioning, Eli seemed calm. He said he'd been at home, watching TV with his girlfriend. But his girlfriend's story didn't match. She hesitated, stumbled, and finally said she hadn't seen Eli that night at all. That was the break detectives needed. When confronted with evidence, the hammer, the tire tracks, the surveillance, Eli's calm cracked. He confessed that he'd lured Daniel to the abandoned house under the pretense of resolving old business. They argued. It got physical. And in a fit of rage, Eli struck Daniel twice with the hammer. He buried the body under the floorboards, poured lime to mask the smell, and sealed the room shut, confident no one would ever find it. But guilt has a way of echoing louder than silence. On the night of October 16th, detectives reopened the farmhouse floor. This time, they brought ground-penetrating radar. What they found beneath was chilling, a human form wrapped in tarp and plastic. Dental records confirmed it was Daniel Whitmore. The man who built homes for others had been buried under one of his own. In 2019, Eli Turner pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 35 years to life. During sentencing, he said, "It wasn't supposed to happen. He just wouldn't forgive me," but forgiveness was never his to take. Daniel's wife, Laura, still lives in Ashbury. She visits what's left of the farmhouse once a year. The walls have been torn down, but she says she can still hear him there, hammering, quietly, like he's finishing one last job. Some crimes leave behind evidence. Others leave behind echoes, and sometimes, the loudest truth is found in silence. I'm your narrator, and this was Echoes in the Dark, the murder of Daniel Whitmore. If you believe every small town hides a secret, make sure to subscribe, because we uncover the ones buried deepest.